Happy Monday morning, guys. It's the last day of March, March 31st, 2025. So over the weekend, Victoria Spartz, Republican House member from Indiana's 5th District, held a town hall meeting. And you can imagine how that went for her, given current events. It went poorly. She said a lot of things during this town hall. Her constituents said a lot of things to her. There was a lot of yelling. She even yelled at her own constituents, even though she had a microphone. And one of the things that she yelled at her constituents, well, let me back up for a second. Victoria Spartz was born in Ukraine. She came here as an immigrant and then became a naturalized citizen. There are many in the White House right now. They're trying to denaturalize naturalized citizens so that they can deport them. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Victoria Spartz is not in danger of that happening to her because she's white and she's on their side. One of the things that she said during this town hall is that if you're an immigrant, if you come here illegally, then you are not entitled to any due process rights before being deported. What does due process even mean? Because we're seeing a lot of people on the right throw this term around now, due process. Let's talk about the 3 plane loads of Venezuelans that Donald Trump flew to El Salvador, to an El Salvadoran prison about, 3 weeks ago now. They were loaded on a plane, flown out. Now they're in a prison in El Salvador. They didn't get any due process. Due process in that case, as a judge has since ordered, each one of those young men is individually entitled to a hearing in court, because the allegation that the government has made is that everybody on these planes was members of the violent Venezuelan street gang Tren de Aragua. The administration didn't prove that against any of these young men in a hearing. And the judge, Boasberg, said each one of them is entitled individually to their own hearing. That's due process. If the government makes an allegation against you and seeks to take action based on that allegation, you have a right to dispute that in a court. The Fifth Amendment generally protects individuals from self-incrimination, double jeopardy, unfair treatment. The Fifth Amendment guarantees that no one can be deprived of, quote, life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So let's go 2 steps here. 1, the Bill of Rights doesn't apply only to United States citizens. If you are inside the borders of the United States, the Bill of Rights applies to you. You are on United States soil. You have Fifth Amendment rights, even if you're not a citizen, which means you have the right to due process. So the thing that's so frustrating to me about all of these people on the right who are spouting off about this shit right now, again, it's like they heard something one time on Law and Order and they think they know what they're talking about. And Victoria Spartz doesn't have the slightest idea what the hell she's talking about, because what she said is incredibly wrong. And do you know who agrees with me on that? Former Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Known for his originalist interpretation of the Constitution, generally argued that the Due Process Clause protects individuals from government action that deprives them of life, liberty, or property, and that this protection extends to immigrants, including those who are undocumented. Because what did the government try to do? Well, it did. It deprived those immigrants of their liberty. It took them into custody, put them on a plane, flew them to a prison in a different country. It deprived them of their Fifth Amendment guaranteed right to liberty. The government deprived them of that. Therefore, those immigrants had a right to due process, which means a hearing. And that's according to Justice Antonin Scalia in the United States Supreme Court. So anytime you hear some Republican inbred mouth-breathing fart huffer, MAGA chud, says that they're here illegally, therefore they're not afforded due process, or they have no due process rights, now you can tell them that they're 100% wrong, and you can tell them that Justice Antonin Scalia agrees with you. They love Antonin Scalia because he invented, out of whole cloth, the right to have a firearm in your own home for self-defense, something that does not exist in the Second Amendment. Antonin Scalia invented that. So they love him for that. They don't really like him very much for this.